Good evening to all my wonderful viewers out there, and welcome back to another Streetwear Talk video, the series where I cover the latest streetwear news, the latest streetwear releases, and in the series, just anything to do with streetwear or fashion. Now, in today's video, I want to talk about a recently released collaboration. What I want to talk about is the collaboration between Palace Skateboards and Death Note, as they collaborated for a week 2 spring 2025 capsule. You heard me right, guys. So for the second week of Palace Skateboards' spring 2025 collection, they collaborated with I guess I like to say with Death Note, treating Death Note as like its own entity, its own brand, but you could probably get more specific and talk about that they'd be collaborating with the creators of the anime itself or manga series. It's yeah, you could probably say it that way. I've just left it as Death Note, but they've collaborated with them to do a series of pieces for the second week of the spring 2025 collection. And in today's video, I wanted to just talk about that. I wanted to talk about the release details for this collection, the editorial for this collection, and my thoughts and opinions on this anime meets skateboarding brand collaboration. Now, we'll be using a Hypebeast article to cover all the details to do with that today, and we'll head on over there now to start covering the release details for this week 2 collab. So here we are at the Hypebeast article that we'll be using today, guys. It'll be linked down in that description section below if you want to have a read of everything that's going on, I suppose. But we're just going to be reading the release details and then diving into the editorial, and I'll give you my thoughts and opinions on it. So the Palace Death Note collection is in the gallery above. The collaborative capsule will be available in-store and online starting February 14th, 11 a.m. EDT time, and on February 15th for Japan and Korea and China. Asia gets it on that Saturday. So it has been out for a while now. Most of it is sold out, if not all of it has, on Palace's online stores, but there might be a piece here or there to pick up. But there we go. It's released this year. Let me know if you have picked up a piece from the collaboration. But now that we covered when it released, let's dive into the editorial and check out the pieces on body. Now, because I've been really behind on covering Palace's spring 2025 collection, I haven't actually had a look at this collection in its entirety, and I will recover it when I do the drop list for week 2. But some things that I was immediately worried about was just that this collaboration was going to be either panels from the series or panels from the manga, and then it was just going to be slapped onto some Palace silhouettes that they use regularly, some co-branded logos. You know, you can see the Palace logo is done in the style that the Death Note logo is, and then we're going to call it a day. From my understanding of Death Note, I want to say in like the early 2010s or maybe even the late 2000s, I watched like the first 2 episodes and then called it a day. It just didn't pique my interest. And there is a point where I do want to go back and watch it just so I can have an opinion on if it's great or not. But outside of, I guess, that peak period where everyone really liked Death Note, I kind of don't hear about it being referenced in a lot of things. And maybe that's just me not really looking into it too much, or just being like, oh, the hype's over, I don't need to engage in it as much. But it is definitely something I want to check out eventually. But going back to this collaboration, I won't know the context of who the characters are because it was so many years ago that I watched those first 2 episodes. And really, I'm just going to be taking it from like, do the graphic designs look nice? Do the photos look nice of the panels and stuff? And do the logos look nice? But I'm worried that there wasn't any crazy experimentation in this collaboration. Not that I was expecting something of such from Palace, because, I mean, as far as anime collaborations go for streetwear brands, they definitely just throw some of the characters and combine the logos on some pieces and call it a day. They're not going to do what a fashion house does, or a big fashion brand like, I mean, the example I always like to come back to is Undercover and Neon Genesis. Like, I feel like that is the peak of anime fashion collaborations, and I'm not saying we have to adhere to that every single time, but I would definitely want to try some things out and trying to get at least close to that. I mean, when I think of a collaboration between an anime and a streetwear brand, I'd at least want to try some iconic silhouettes or pieces that are worn by the characters, and then this stuff. Like, I'd want a cross section of cool pieces so you could kind of dress up like the characters, or cool pieces that reference the characters, and then these graphic pieces, but not just the graphic pieces. And I'd go crazy with the accessories and things like that. Like, there's a lot of room to play around here, and with these brands there wouldn't be any reason for them not to be able to, I don't think, unless the creative differences kind of didn't hit the mark there, and then they can't go down those areas. But I can't see why not. But let's go check out this capsule. I mean, I'm playing it very worried, but hopefully I don't have to be. But it's really kind of selling to me that I'm right. Okay, I was worried because I was worried that they were just going to do clothing pieces, but it looks like they have gone into bags. This very puffy kind of nylon looking bag that could work. Interesting placement of logos and character and everything like that. We probably could have approached that a bit differently, but sure. We've got a button-up shirt where the buttons have been hidden by a panel to allow the graphic to take over the front panel. That could work, but the outfit is gonna have to be very streetwear orientated, because I don't know how else you would wear that well with the graphics still doing the talking. But it's cool to see that they've done some other silhouettes outside of shirts and hoodies, because I was really worried about that. Same situation here as well. Design on this front panel all over it. I like the use of hiding the buttons to allow the graphic to continue. That works really well. A denim jacket, full zip jacket, design over the top of it. I have seen a lot of brands on Instagram kind of do this before, so this one's not a huge surprise to me, but happy to see that there is other pieces in this collaboration and other silhouettes. I don't know if the collaborative hat is a part of it. We did see that in black just before, but it does have some Asian characters on it, so maybe. I'm a little unsure. I'll keep pressing through. Looks like it's got matching denim. I think the denim jeans are a little bit too much for me. I think that's, I don't know. Another graphic t-shirt. This one looks fine. Nothing too crazy. There's another shot of it. A shot of a different graphic tee. Same design that we've seen before. And I assume this t-shirt is also part of it, which would then make the hat that we've seen a couple times part of it as well. I actually think this long sleeve and the hat are actually some of the better pieces that we've seen in this collaboration. The graphic t-shirts and stuff, maybe it's because I have no like emotional connection to the characters because I haven't watched the series in full, but I'm less inclined to be interested in those. But I like it when Supreme approaches this stuff and they don't slap the logos across like the top of it. They just do like a small logo in the bottom left-hand corner of the shot. I like those graphic tees approached that way, but that just might be my Supreme biased coming out here. Yeah, like the way the Palace does it is really loud, because look, boom, Palace logo across the top, boom, Death Note logo across the bottom, just in case you didn't know that this was a Death Note character. I haven't watched the whole series, but the amount of times I have seen these characters, I could make that decision, and the art style, I would say, is at least noticeable enough that I could say that it's probably a Death Note character. So I don't feel like we need to slap them all over here. I feel like we could have approached this in a much more subtle way with the logos, but then we are getting into dangerous territory, because how do you approach the Palace logo with this without you know, spelling out that it's Palace. And I guess, can you do that without it just looking like a normal Death Note like merch t-shirt from Hot Topic or something like that? I suppose that makes it more difficult, but I don't think it's impossible. Like, you could do the small Palace logo directly under this graphic here and approach it that way. I think there's definitely ways that you could have approached it. The big logos up the top and bottom just aren't really doing it for me. There are other pieces outside of this editorial as well. This is not the whole collection, but this is just kind of a taste. I don't know if it would have been better to approach it with just Palace across the top, no need to mention that it's Death Note, or Palace across the top, but then keep the Asian characters, which I assume spells Death Note. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong here. Again, I'm saying that the art style of the characters themselves are iconic enough for people to register that it's Death Note, and not spelling it out entirely I think works better, because I could kind of see it with just like Palace in pink, the shot that we have here, and then the Asian characters down the bottom. It's enough, or at least I feel like it's enough. Same with all the other ones as well. All the other characters and everything, we could do it that way, and I feel like we could approach it that way, because you're doing it enough service already, because the Palace logo is done in the same style as Death Note, and in the same font, style, everything like that. So I don't feel like you have to go overboard here, but I'm just thinking of like, I guess, spitball ways of like making this less obvious with graphic logos and things like that, making it more subtle. But like I'm saying, there's like so many other ways that we could have definitely approached this that I think would just be a lot nicer looking. But again, if you're just a huge fan of the anime or manga, you're probably going crazy for this, to be honest. And for me, the wearability, it is there, but man, it's gonna, like, you either killing it with the pieces or not is really gonna come down to how you look and how you present yourself, I think, not necessarily the pieces. Like, heaps of people say it all the time, you know, if you're hot, you're gonna look hot in anything. So yeah, you could wear this and still look good. But I think that also stays true in the other way, that if you look really unkept or really off-putting, these pieces aren't going to save you from that. And it would be so typical for me to see someone who looks like those two things wearing an anime collaboration, and I'd be like, yeah, that's pretty typical. It's like the demographic of people that I would think would wear this are not the people that are modeling it right now. And I think if you were to buy into this, it would be harder to wear than other graphic t-shirts and Palace pieces, because you've really got to bring the cool factor to anime. Because I know that anime is still, like, it definitely now is a lot more mainstream, but it's still got that feeling of like, who's this nerd watching this? Or at least in the West, I suppose. So you'd have to play it off in a certain way. How you do that, look, I'd have to explore that in its own conversation. How to make anime graphic t-shirts look cool from a streetwear perspective. It could be done, but yeah, definitely who you are, how you look would play a huge part into that outfit. And like I was saying, if you're good looking, sure, that gives you so many points where you wouldn't have to style it as much. But yeah, just a lot of thoughts that I'm kind of throwing in about this collaboration. But I feel that same way with any anime collaboration, to be honest, because as soon as you start throwing like graphic anime characters on t-shirts and stuff, there are definitely some thoughts that people have on, I guess, people that would be wearing that type of stuff. But anyway, how do I feel about the collaboration and all? Look, it's hard to make a decision because I haven't seen it all. I'm going to go do a drop list video and cover week 2 and cover all the pieces there. It'll probably give me a better way of deciding what my thoughts are. But it's passable. It's nothing extravagant. I'm happy to see that there's some silhouettes outside of hoodies and t-shirts being used. I'm excited to see that there's like bags and stuff like that. Overall, like I said, passable, but I wouldn't say it's going to be the most memorable anime collaboration in fashion and streetwear moving forward. Obviously, you'll feel different if you're a bigger fan, but I'd love to hear your takes on it as well. Like, Is this a big hit for you? Is this a big miss for you? Any thoughts and opinions you have on this collaboration, please let me know down in that comment section below. But that is everything to cover about the week 2 collaboration from the Hypebeast article. I'm keen to cover it more in detail using a Palace community page next, but the release details for the collaboration, it released on the 14th of February, Valentine's Day, and then the 15th in Asia. And look, maybe it's this overarching push to have streetwear expand further into the Asian region that we're seeing more collaborations with Asian culture, which is great to see as well. I just hope we can do it a little bit more tastefully without like big graphic text logos. I think that's my main gripe, because a lot of the actual character designs and things like that look fine and look okay on clothing pieces that Palace have chosen. I just don't like it being like, this is Death Note, and I feel like the art style, the characters themselves, the character design, that should speak for itself, where you're like, I know who that is, and if not, then maybe we've failed there. But I feel like they do that, so we don't need to spell it out in this collaboration. But I don't know, maybe I'm just being super critical. I'd love to hear your takes. Is it an awesome collaboration? Is it not? I will be back shortly for the drop list video to cover the rest of it, but you'd have to really blow me away with the pieces in the Palace community page for me to change my mind that drastically. Now, if you guys want me to keep covering upcoming releases from Palace and all the collaborations we've seen so far, don't forget to give me the 3 indicators I'm constantly asking you for, which is a like on this video, a comment in that comment section down below, and if you haven't already, the best indicator you can give me is a subscribe to the channel. In previous videos, I've mentioned we're trying to hit the subscriber milestone of 3,940 subscribers before the end of the month. Hopefully with your guys' continuous support, we'll be able to reach that milestone before the end of April. But that's everything I got to say about this collaboration, guys. I'm going to go cover it now in a drop list video and get into the nitty gritty of it. So until then, until that next drop list video, Palace video, or streetwear talk video in general, I'll catch you then.